Hey everybody, Dr. Rob, Facebook Live here. We're talking about the ketogenic diets. Everybody's been asking not just about the ketogenic diet, but the different types of ketogenic diets. I've been implementing it in my office for several months, so I'm working with different athletes, different types of people. So here it is. Let's talk about the different types of ketogenic diet. Number one, your standard ketogenic diet. The key to a ketogenic diet is to consume fat, but good quality fats, as we talked about before. No donut, trans fats, stuff like that. We want good fats. We want to be able to use our fats as energy and decrease our amount of carbohydrates. Once we're able to make that switch, which is usually about the third day, that's when we're in what we call ketosis, and ultimately leading us down a path to be able to have weight loss, ultimately leading us down a path where we're going to have all the positives from the ketogenic diet. So key number one is, for the standard diet, we want to have between 25 and 50 grams of carbohydrates for the day. 50 grams or less gets us into ketosis, and typically most of the weight loss benefits occur at the 25 gram level. In addition, who's ketosis, or excuse me, who's good for, she's laughing at me, who's going to benefit from the ketogenic diet? So those who are wanting to lose weight, we're seeing a lot of patient base just shred body fat off. It's fantastic, and they're eating. So a little takeaway about the weight loss and eating. People say, you know what, I'm not eating quite as much, yet I'm full. Well, one, the ketogenic diet gives you a feeling of fullness, what we call satiety. Why do we have satiety? Well, fat happens to have a satiety associated with the ingestion of those grams. In addition, it's nutrient-rich foods, fat and proteins. Typically in a ketogenic diet, 70% fat, about 20% protein, and 10% less carbohydrates. Fat and protein are nutrient-rich. So when you eat foods that are rich in nutrients, you feel full. Your body doesn't crave empty calories. It doesn't need more food. It's got the nutrients. So that's where that satiety comes from. There's also some hormones involved. So weight loss, wow. Body composition. People, like I said earlier, are shredding fat off. So we've been testing them on the in-body, really good results. Brain health, my goodness, probably without question, we've seen it with brain health and cognitive issues. I'm using it with people that have concussions, people who are concerned with Alzheimer's, people that are trying to think a little clearer. Every day people are coming in and saying, you know what? I'm thinking clear, I'm doing better in school, the diet is great. One of the reasons is the fat keeps your blood sugar low and level. These jumps of blood sugar are a problem. Number two, the brain is 60% fat. It's your fattest organ in the body. So you want to ingest fat and not carbohydrates. I don't know why everybody thought a carbohydrate would feed a brain which is made of fat. Number three, gut health. Sugar is a toxin. It is deleterious to your gut health. Most organisms love sugar. We want to avoid eating sugar. Just remember, it's not the sugar in your food that's really going to damage you. It's the sugar that the manufacturers add in your food that's going to damage you. So for a lot of my gut protocols, and everybody knows I'm all about gut health, 70% of our immune cells are in our gut. It's where our digestion occurs. Every time I say that, people look at me. Not only that, if you were to unravel your gut, it would be the length of the surface area of a tennis court with the thickness of a paper towel. And finally, blood sugar issues. We're finding a lot of people who are concerned or on a blood sugar dysregulation path are getting great outcomes using the ketogenic diet. That's the standard ketogenic diet. That's the bulk of the people who want keto. Now, what other kind of variations of the keto that we have? We have what we call the targeted keto. The essential between the standard, the targeted, and the cyclical ketogenic diet is the use of carbs and when you use and how many carbs you use. So the targeted, you're going to target the time that you eat your carbs. There's two types of targeted now. Number one, you're going to take your carbs before and or after your workout, and I'll break that down for you. So that's the targeted ketogenic diet. We take carbs 30 minutes before exercise, This is perfect for people who are sort of like strength trainers, strong powerlifters, the average, kind of like me, weekend warrior. I work out, but I'm not that elite athlete. These are great changes in the idea of a targeted ketogenic diet for those people. Weekend warrior, someone who's not working out at high levels or high intensity. Strength trainers who do work out heavy but have a lot of rest and don't need a lot of sugar. So let's go through this. Here's a key: dextrose and glucose. You want dextrose and glucose as your carbohydrate choice of your 25 to 50 grams of carbs if you're going to only eat before working out. No fructose, no fruit sugar. What happens is if you overeat with carbohydrates, all carbs are going to the gut. If you're overeating carbohydrates and your gut can't absorb fructose, it goes to the liver, and that's the problem. Once you start replacing liver glycogen, it's going to be almost impossible to pop back in to ketosis. So the carbohydrates that you want to use are dextrose and glucose, no fruit sugar, a big takeaway. So all those people who want to stay in ketosis and want to eat an apple, it's a bad choice. In addition, it's great for blood glucose getting to the muscles. So we're in ketosis, we're somewhat deprived of blood glucose in muscles. We should be deprived of all glycogen in the liver. So therefore, it gives those muscles that instantaneous push. That's part of the reason that we use the targeted, and we can get a good pump, and we get that extra pathway of energy. By the way, fats and carbs during and before a workout can work for like a fusion and an explosion of a good workout. In addition, your insulin drops. That's what you really want. By using dextrose and glucose, you work out, no fructose, blood glucose goes to the muscles, blood glycogen goes up, your insulin drops. Insulin is a key hormone, is a key element. If insulin will stay too high, you eat too much sugar, it's going to be hard to get back into ketosis. In addition, now you've got your ketosis on. Once your insulin drops, your ketosis is on, you're in a good state. Pre and post carbs. So here's the skinny on the targeted. There's two ways that I've done the targeted with my patients, my athletes, if you will. Number one, I've given just 25 to 50 grams of carbohydrates before the workout, nothing post. Others have split 25 and 25, and some have actually eaten an additional 25 to 50 grams of carbohydrates, still popping back into ketosis after the workout very quickly, because the key element is not to refill, once again, the liver, no fructose, and have that insulin drop. Now, the one that gets really, I like to say sexy, and the one that's for the elite athlete who really want to benefit from the ketogenic diet is the cyclical one. The cyclical one is interesting in that it's a low carbohydrate ketogenic diet for about 5 to 6 days, and then you explode with the amount of carbohydrates that you have because you're a high intensity athlete, somebody who's going to work out for a long, hard period of time, so you can use a lot more carbohydrates, and you're going to eat high carbs for 1 to 2 days, a large amount. We're talking 200, 300 grams of carbohydrates. It's good for that high intensity athlete. It's good for that Olympic lifter. It's great for that sprinter. In addition, the great part about it is you're refeeding your muscle glycogen. You're kind of like people used to carb up in marathons and bodybuilders used to carb up. So clearly bodybuilders would be a great choice. They can use a ketogenic diet and refeed their muscles before a show. In addition, the refeed gives you these advantages: muscle glycogen store, upregulating hormones, those thyroid hormones, big thumbs up, and a physiological break. You got to change in what you eat. Your body responds typically favorably to change. So these are 3 different types, the standard being number 1, the targeted, obviously targeting when you have the carbohydrates and how much, and you're cycling your carbohydrates. So I love using the ketogenic diet. It may not be for everybody, but it's something that we need to discuss. It is a consideration for many of my patients and my athletes. The standard ketogenic diet has typically worked fabulous for long duration or long endurance athletes, and the cyclical really works for that sprinter, that Olympic lifter, and targeted, once again, is going to work for like sort of, I'm going to try and work out every day, but sort of the lower intense, little aging athlete who doesn't go in and kills himself. I know we had a whole bunch of questions because I was getting the thumbs up and all this. So let's go. Joanne, what you got?
So I have one here. Do you like carbs, MCT oil for performance fuel? It says carbs versus MCT oil.
Well, medium chain triglycerides. I probably should have said that the standard ketogenic diet's really based on medium chain triglycerides. Which are short chain fatty acids. You want short chain fatty acids instead of long chain fatty acids because short chain fatty acids go directly to the liver. And within those MCT oils, you want carbon 8 and carbon 10. So MCT oil is great. It is the oil from the coconut oil or coconuts. That's fantastic. It's a great energy source. MCT versus carbs. I have found that people can use the MCT oil in the standard good enough for energy versus the carbs, but some people don't convert quite as well. Some people need a different energy source, and some people function better on carbohydrates. If so, that's where the target and the cyclical comes in. And that's the interesting thing. You've got to play with the patient. You've always got to individualize it for the patient. Using the ketogenic diet in these 3 different diets is really functional medicine at its best because you're trying to personalize it for everybody's outcome. MCT oil is a great choice.
We also have, do you avoid the keto flu on any of these?
Yeah, the keto flu is, it's not a real flu. It's flu-like symptoms. And what happens about day 3, our central nervous system now realizes that there's no carbohydrates or very low carbohydrates, and it's changing from a carb to a fat-burning process because you're losing all the liver glycogen, muscle glycogen. So with that being said, that's when you get the keto flu. There are things to take to avoid the keto flu. You will not get a keto flu. You have to be in ketosis, and then you won't have the keto flu when you use the targeted or the cyclical. That's the interesting thing. So, and one more big thing is you should be keto adapted and in the standard before you do the targeted or the cyclical.
What about intermittent fasting with the ketogenic diet?
Yeah, I like intermittent fasting in general. And I love it with the ketogenic diet. The whole premise is something that won a Nobel Prize for 2016, autophagy. Autophagy refers to the idea the cells clean themselves. Intermittent fasting allows them to have that opportunity. You mix that with the ketogenic diet, you're going to have a very powerful diet. Remember, cells have 3 options. They can do autophagy, they can do apoptosis, cell death, or necrosis. Well, you don't want apoptosis or necrosis, so we like autophagy.
What would you use or recommend to ensure a quick return to ketosis?
Great question. Well, what I would use to get back in would be ketone salts, which is a ketone body, the big ketone body, beta-hydroxybutyrate. You need between 8 and 12 grams of that. They call it a salt because it's attached to a sodium or a chloride. Also MCT oil, if you mix with the salts, we offer them. So we'll leave a link if anybody needs those. The ketone salts and MCT oil combined are a great way to, 1, get back into ketosis quickly. In theory, targeted and cyclical, if you do it right, an hour after you should be back into ketosis. But if you want to ensure that an hour after, take the ketone salts and or the ketone salts with the MCT oil. Great choice. They also enable you to avoid the keto flu.
Great. Last question. What % of people do you recommend for non-standard keto diet?
Okay, so we have the standard diet over here. So she want to know what percentage. If I can keep them here, it's great. It's about 25% that I put in here. Everybody's patient base is going to be different. Everybody out there is different. You got to get into the standard ketogenic diet first. So the reason I say about 25%, some people want to know who are in and getting positive effects from the ketogenic diet. 25% over here may even benefit from the change. There's some people that the ketogenic diet, they're not going to go keto adapted. They don't like it. So about 25% who are in the ketogenic diet and giving me a thumbs up, I'll switch over to the cyclical and or the targeted.
Okay.
Well, I was supposed to do something. Please do me a favor. Everybody make a comment. I will answer them. Like it, share it. So many people are asking questions about the ketogenic diet, and I had to do one more thing.
Make sure you turn your notification on so you know when Dr. Silverman is going live.
Turn your notification on, Joanne said, so you know when I'm going live. We go live Tuesday, every 2 p.m. And we try and do another one if it's all possible when I'm lecturing on the weekend, typically on a Saturday. So we're good, Joanne?
Yeah.
Terrific. So look forward to seeing you. Please like, click, and share. Turn your notification on. Dr. Rob, always yours in health.